In this video, we will be discussing what is Alzheimer's as well as bilingualism. We will then discuss the connection between these two in which bilingualism protects the brain from Alzheimer's. This is related to our article, which discusses the constant switching between two languages appears to make the brain work harder. That leads to structural changes in the brain, creating a neural reserve and rendering the bilingual brain more resilient against aging. According to the textbook, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia which occurs in about 10% of the population above the age 65 and about 50% of the people older than 85. It is characterized by progressive loss of memory and other cognitive functions. The memory deficit most critically involves recent events and thus resembles the anterograde amnesia of Korsakoff syndrome. As this disease progresses, symptoms become increasingly severe. Alzheimer's disease produces severe degeneration of the hippocampus, entorhinal cortex, neocortex, nucleus basalis, locus coeruleus, and raphe nuclei. The brains of affected individuals contain many amyloid plaques, which contain a core of misfolded long-form AB protein surrounded by degeneration axons and dendrites and neurofibrillary tangles composed of dying neurons that contain intracellular accumulation of twisted filaments of tau protein. Hereditary forms of Alzheimer's disease involves defective genes for the amyloid precursor protein, for the secretases that cut APP into smaller pieces, or for APOE, a glycoprotein involved in transport of cholesterol and the repair of cell membranes. Traumatic brain injuries are also a serious risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. Examination of the brains of people who have sustained closed head injuries reveals a widespread distribution of amyloid plaques. Risk of Alzheimer's disease following traumatic brain injury is especially high in people who possess the APOE4 allele. A promising treatment for Alzheimer's is vaccination against AB, and administration of the antigen may provide a way to triggering an inflammatory reaction. Temporary reaction of symptoms is seen in some patients who are treated with anticholinergic drugs or drugs that serve as NMDA antagonists. Exercise and intellectual stimulation appear to delay the onset of Alzheimer's disease, and obesity, high cholesterol levels, and diabetes are significant risk factors. Bilingualism has been characterized as the regular use of two or more languages. It has been estimated that more than half of the world's population speaks two or more languages regularly. In the United States, approximately 20% of the population speaks a language at home other than English. Bilingualism is associated with better executive control and episodic memory and more efficient neurocognitive processing. There has been growing interest in the concept of cognitive reserve, the idea that stimulating mental activities protect against cognitive decline and continue to provide benefits as dementia develops. These activities include formal education, physical activity, stimulating leisure involvement, and social engagement. Since bilingualism places constant pressure on the executive control system to manage attention to the target language, it is possible that this constant mental activity contributes to cognitive reserve. Following this, bilinguals should be able to cope with the early symptoms of Alzheimer's disease more effectively than monolinguals and continue to function without signaling that the disease has taken hold. Why do bilinguals show delay of symptoms of dementia? According to one of our articles, there is a distinction between neurological brain reserve and behavioral brain reserve to reflect two possibilities for how reserve might work. Neurological brain reserve is biological and possibly genetic in origin and functions through the effect of peak brain volume to ameliorate the effects of brain pathology on cognitive performance and signs of dementia. In contrast, behavioral brain reserve works through the effect of sustained complex mental activity, protecting against dementia.
The cognitive reserve theory explains that certain variables improves the brain's ability to cope with damage, mitigating its effects on cognitive functioning, which includes education, intelligence, socioeconomic status, and aerobic fitness. Even though underlying neuromechanism of these protective effects is largely unknown, cognitive reserve prevents cognitive decline and delays neurodegeneration. It is possible that bilingualism contributes to cognitive reserve only if the individual uses both languages on a regular basis, which is consistent with what we know about how neuroplasticity works. You either use it or you lose it. That is, if you do not use both languages, then you are at risk of losing its beneficial effects on cognition. In fact, it has been proposed that the constant switching between languages is what drives the benefits. Bilingualism has been suggested to delay Alzheimer's disease diagnosis for almost 5 years. Bilingualism may also have protective effects on glutamatergic synapses within frontal striatal thalamic systems, given that glutamate is the main neurotransmitter for thalamocortical signaling. A neurochemical system that may be modulated by bilingual experience is norepinephrine, which is part of the brain's general arousal and alertness system. Norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors improve some executive control functions affected positively by the bilingual experience, such as sustained attention and inhibitory control. A head CT scan revealed that bilingual patients had significant more medial temporal lobe atrophy than monolingual patients.
This concludes the end of our video. Thanks for watching.